Are you on good Wi-Fi?
Good enough. Good enough.
Okay.
There it goes. Alright, so this is a meeting I've looked forward to for a long time. This is my interview with Ariel from Icon for Hire, who has greetings to the internet. And alright. No, nobody probably will be watching this for a little bit, but hopefully some of the fans will eventually show some appreciation. But all right, here we go. So, so, wow. All right. So I have question number one. Icon for Hire recently had this amazing Kickstarter campaign that just basically just blew everybody out of the water. At least it blew my expectations out of the water. Yeah, I joined the Kickstarter campaign right at the beginning, so my expectations were extremely low, right? I was thinking, nobody's gonna join this. And then suddenly we get this skyrocket. So, so my question to you is, did you think about the match between Icon for Hire's messages about mental health and the moment we are in, with mental health problems being more severe around the world? Did you think of this moment as an opportunity to expand your audience, even temporarily?
Hmm. I haven't thought of it really as a way to expand the audience, but more how can I try to help right now? How can I bring any value? Like, I know I've been struggling, Sean has been struggling, my friends, I know the Icon Army has been struggling. So we did consider, is it appropriate to release music right now? And I realized, yes, it is, because music is what's helping me get through it. And I hope maybe my music can help someone else get through it too. So that was kind of the intention, was let's not hold back what could help and save it for when COVID ends, which we don't know when that will be. And I'm so glad that we decided to release this music now, because people are really connecting with it. It's like the perfect time for it. People have told us it sounds like the album was written with COVID in mind, which, some of it was written before, some of it during, but it's really worked out well.
Yeah, well, that was part of the reason why I backed the campaign, was I was just like, Icon for Hire, you know? I was kind of looking for something to, like, contribute to this thing, because mental health is something that's really important for me as well.
Yeah.
I've gone through my own mental health situation with abusive parents, an abusive parent and the like. So it's just like, how can I reach out to help others when I know just a little bit of what others may be suffering from? And so, it's like, who do you call, right? When you have this kind of thing going on. So, I've
That's
been following you guys for a while, so it's definitely on the short list.
Well, I mean, I think that's really well said. I feel the same way as you, and I'm grateful that you were able to kind of see that was the intention through the Kickstarter, that we are trying to help and contribute and kind of make a bit of a home for people who feel like they need some love and support. The Kickstarter was really this beautiful group effort, like, hey, can we do this? Can we make this happen? Can we share this with the world? Will you come on board? That, like, kind of took me by surprise, was how emotional that process was, to feel so supported by our fans at a time that we could have been feeling really alone. We felt like, oh, I love you, I see you, thank you. It's just really special.
It is. Thank you for showing up for us. We really appreciate it.
Likewise, thank you for having us, and you guys showed up for us too. It's a beautiful relationship that we've got, for
Yes,
sure.
it is. I'm happy to be part of it. All right.
I know.
Well, this may be a question for both you and Sean to answer, but maybe you can provide your own take on it. Are the two of you being comfortable being a two-person band as a permanent fixture? Are you open to adding new members back into the band at some point? Are there any opportunities for any aspiring drummers and or bass guitarists or anything like that?
Yeah, in a way, I would love to have some people come on with us that are touring with us. And if there was a drummer and a bass player that were touring with us for, a number of years and we were really on the same wavelength, we would consider, I imagine, bringing them in, into like music videos, which we have done, or maybe photo shoots or interviews or social media. But it would be a lot to ask for me to let someone into the songwriting process. I really like doing it by myself or just me and Sean. So I wouldn't be too excited to bring like two fresh people in to help me with that. No.
Well, I understand that you had. Sorry, touching my nose. Sorry, well, I understand. I understand that you've had some miserable experiences with co-writing.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite. I like just doing what I want to do with the songs.
It does bring me to another thought, though. Adam used to be a part of the band, so were you comfortable letting him in on the songwriting process? Or
Yes, that dynamic worked really well because Sean and Adam worked on the music and I did the lyrics.
I see.
And yeah, that's how it came so organically that the three of us created together. That really worked. But now Sean and I had to find a new rhythm of working together without Adam's input. And so to try to imagine a third and or a fourth person coming in, it would have to be like lightning striking for that all to really make sense,
Right, you'd have to
And I
get
miss
to know this person.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I'm so happy with the way it is. I don't really want to change it, Like I don't want to ruin a good thing I've got going here.
Yeah, I understand. It's a little bit of a personal songwriting process. I could really feel this listening to the album. That
Oh, good. Good.
Yes, it was very obvious to me, just listening to this, that you guys had put a lot of yourselves into it, and so maybe expanding it isn't necessarily the best idea. All right,
Yeah.
the third question is a little bit for me and about the the icon army. How do you handle an online community, that would be the icon army in this case, with so many people with different mental health problems running up against each other at shows and online? Have you two ever had to deal with misunderstandings coming up with people who don't understand each other?
Yeah. Sarah, no one's ever asked me that before, but it is a part. Um, we really try to be super intentional with the way that we show up online and to make space for everyone and it's a hard line, sometimes in order to make a safe space for everyone, that means that if there's a few people who maybe aren't contributing to that you have to ask them to back off a little bit, or you have to put up some boundaries, but generally the intention is always for us to share our vulnerabilities, for us to share what we're struggling with, attract a great group of people, the Icon Army, who feel the same way, who are loving, kind, good-hearted people, which is what we have in our fan base. And then everyone can safely share what they're going through and show up truthfully in their weakness when they feel that way and be raw and real. And then also be encouraging. And that's what I mostly see. I see someone will post something like, I'm really going through this. And then 5, 10 members of the Icon Army come up underneath that. And they're like, we love you. We got you. You're going to have a good day. We believe in you. And now people will be like, hey, I'm 30 days free from self-harming, or I've been sober for 2 months, and everyone's clapping for each other. And I love that. Like, that is so cool. So that's the online aspect. And then at shows, I see so much support. Everyone shows each other support. And I love it when people can meet up in person when they have that online relationship, and then the tours of the shows can bring people together in person. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think it's good if people are having positive experiences. The reason I asked the question is I actually had a very negative experience with the mental health community at one point. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
girl, I'm so sorry.
it's a little bit rough to explain, but I had someone harass me, and yeah, so I wanted to make sure, I see these advertisements, right, for the band, right, where they say join this Patreon thing, or right. So I wanted to make sure that I was heading into a safe place, right, where I wouldn't be harassed or treated in an inappropriate manner. Obviously, that's kind of a sore spot for me.
Yeah, you have every right to expect that, and we are going to keep trying to keep creating that.
Yes. Okay, so moving into the songs. All right, I listened to this. I listened to this record multiple times, of course. Um, so I am wondering what the process behind the song "Only Be a Story" was. That song was a very intense emotional experience for me listening to it, and every time I come back to it, it's like on my playlist. It's very intense. So I'd like to know what
Yeah.
went into it, what inspired it.
Yeah. So you mentioned Adam earlier. Adam was married to Sophie, and Sophie is one of my good friends. He left the band to kind of go pursue family life, and that's cool. So Sophie and I were talking one day, and she actually said that line. She was like, eventually, whenever I pass, my whole life is just going to be a story. And I was like, oh, girl. And so I was like, I'm going to use that in a song. So just very soon after that, I went and sat down at this piano right here, and it was a song that just like fell from the sky. Only Be a Story and Last One Standing and Panic Attacks were all songs that kind of just dropped in an instant, where it's like you have the whole thing. And I guess I've heard that Elton John has written similarly, which is cool. It's a thing that happens sometimes. You're just like gifted a song. And in the vocal booth, I'm glad to hear that you think it's an emotional song and you connect with it, because when I was in the vocal booth, and I haven't talked about this before, but my Swedish grandmother was sick and passing, and she has since passed. And at the time, I was thinking of her and the life that she's lived and the legacy she's brought. And I was in tears in the vocal booth singing. And so some of those takes made it, and some of them I had to redo because they didn't sound very good, because when you cry, you don't sing very well. But that's kind of what I had in mind when I was recording the vocals on that.
Jeez. All right. There is a line in that song, "It all fades away inside a moment." Do you actually believe that humans have no eternal destiny?
Well, I guess what I was saying in that line was, when the curtains call, like when it's it's your time, and then it's done, and then you can't keep writing that story. So I guess if there's this afterlife, then you can keep writing in this other dimension. But on this dimension, like when that moment comes, then you're done. Then it's all like, that's it. And the intention of the song is to me, it makes me think of what I can do now, not to leave a legacy, like that's cool, but what I can do now to show up as fully as I can.
It was very interesting to me. The other part of that song is the line "Tell me where the water is."
Yeah.
That was the feeling that song gave me. Is this tightness, like up here and in here, this sense of grief that you can't get rid of. It's, where's the water? Why can't I cry out this intense grief that's been bothering me? The significance for that song for me, I'll just throw it out there for the audience. I had some spiritual struggles recently where I felt like I was in a wasteland and dried up, and part of that is that I do unfortunately believe that humans have eternal destiny, and I had to process that because I have an abuser right over here, and I don't want to spend eternity with him. So that song brings that grief up. It brought up a few other things, but that was the thing that it kind of opens that space. I don't know what the solution to that problem is, but it lets me know where the spiritual problem is, and for that I am grateful. Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow.
So it was kind of an idea that the idea that it wasn't there, that there's no eternal destiny, and that thought being kind of a relief valve, even though that's something I don't believe in. It was kind of a break. and then suddenly it's a breakthrough, right? Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's a lot.
so cool to hear your experience of the song as a listener, you know, and the fact that you resonated with it in ways that I had in mind when I wrote it, and then in new ways that haven't occurred to me yet. That's really cool.
It is. It is. That's one of the biggest powers of music or writing in general is just this feeling that it's just that a reader can access it in or a listener can access it in one way, and then the creator found their way into it from another spot. So
That's good. Yeah.
yeah, Amorphous is extremely good. Okay.
Thanks. I'm so glad.
Like you guys exceeded my expectations. Like somebody told me when I was going into this when I first heard of your guys' band. This was back in 2016. It's like they're good live, but their studio tracks kind of suck. Don't take it personally. Someone actually said this about you guys. I'm just like, yeah, well, that's okay. And so I listened to You Can't Kill Us. I had catastrophically low expectations, right? I just, I listened to it. I'm just like, well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I tended to expect, right? I was like, this is You Can't Kill Us Part 2, right? Right? That's what I kind of expected going into this, and then I hear these things like guitar solos and production that almost seems like it belongs on a metal album. Not an insult. None intended, okay? I love metal, right? And I see these things like these instrumental intro tracks and this big like production show, and I'm like, and it's not a metal album. Don't get anything wrong, internet. This is not a metal album. But I noticed that your producer did put in a few of those borrows. A few metal borrows, what I call. And so listening to that, I was just like, this is amazing, right? And it's not every track. Like, Only Be a Story is very much, back to the piano, that kind of thing. Like I said, I'm a fan. I love the whole thing. Anyway, I don't want to editorialize too much. But, yeah. Alright.
What's interesting is our producer has never done rock music before. He's only done like pop and some hip hop. So he has no idea of any of our influences. We'd be like, hey, look up this album. He's never heard of any of the bands that inspire us. This was totally out of left field for him, and he killed it.
He did. He must have had very good influences. I mean, I was looking at Chase's YouTube channel the other day, right? And he's got Camelot, right, and Within Temptation and that kind of a thing. And that's definitely where I'm at listening wise. But, if somebody's singing about mental health problems, I usually just cut them like 50 feet rope of slack and don't even care.
That's great.
Yeah, just like, you guys can do whatever you want. I mean...
I'm glad we're good. Well, maybe the next album will suck and you'll still listen to it then. We'll be good to go.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's all about the subject matter and less about the format. And that sometimes can be problematic for even me as an artist on the other end, right? I mean, it's the subject, it's not the form. All right, I do want to get to question number 6. We are down to 9 minutes. With the Cursor Cure music video, we see a little girl as part of the story of the video. Longtime fans may recognize this girl from the previous song, You Can't Kill Us, or the book, Turn Your Pain into Art, and now the Ariel show about panic attacks. How do you think about the concept of insularity and the difference in perception between a fan who has been around for a while and a new fan coming into the fan base?
Yeah, we love to make those connections and to invite the Icon Army into every part of, what's going on. So it's so much easier to just show up as yourself and be honest and authentic and real and not lie about who you are. And then as you keep making art, the art is going to naturally have tie-ins. So my hope is that the existing icon army will love each new thing that we do that connects with something we've done previously, and that new fans might be curious about it and be like, I don't really get it, but whatever. But then if they get more sucked in, they'll keep finding links, like the little Easter eggs, you know? And that's what I want. I want someone who doesn't know our music to find it and to kind of stumble into this whole world, like down the rabbit hole, where they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much here. We've got so much content waiting for people between the Ariel show, all the tours we've done, all the albums, interviews, acoustic albums, in our Patreon, we've got all the unreleased stuff. Like, we've got years worth of stuff to keep people busy. The book, you know.
Yeah. I may or may not have just gone down that content rabbit hole, like, by a large margin.
See, it's good. It's good during quarantine, right? It's like, it's a good thing, fun thing to do.
Well, also, I'm a questioner naturally for tendencies, right? So we just naturally research everything and do it oblivion.
Cool. You know, I'm the rebel with those, right?
Do you think some point the level of content could become overwhelming for someone?
Yeah, that's possible, but the alternative, if I can't create, if I stop it because I don't want to overwhelm someone, you know, that's going to kill me as an artist and my self-expression. I'd much rather that the person who's overwhelmed takes a break and comes back in 6 months when they're ready for it. You know, I can't really think about the end listener experience to my own detriment. I have to consider what's going to keep, like, my creative juices flowing, you know.
Completely understandable.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess we have time for number 7 then. It is of the same band. Prior to the recent release of Amorphous, Ariel, you were doing a lot of stuff. The book turned your pain into art, classes that went to the book. The Ariel show, which got canceled and then got fracked briefly. Our listeners should probably go back and go and check that out after watching this interview.
Yeah, and it didn't get canceled. I just had to stop doing it because I had too much going on.
Too much. Right. Yeah. Well, I thought that Still Can't Kill Us was like a step up for you guys. Like, when I listened to Amorphous, I recognized the jump, the improvements, and I thought that Still Can't Kill Us had really contributed to those improvements. Yeah. So, because when I listened to Still Can't Kill Us, I thought Ariel can sing, and it was like, wow. Yeah, I was really impressed with the vocals on that record.
Thank you. Yeah, we do a lot, you know, but I am, at my core, I am a singer and a songwriter. That's my bread and butter, you know, like, that's what I do. But It's easy to get lost in the rest of it, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you.
No worries. My question is, though, how did you manage to hold on to that busy collection of things for so long? And what helped you decide that music was the most important and that you didn't need to hold on to the rest of the things?
Sarah, I love that you're asking this. That's so good. It's all about, like, life balance and boundaries, you know. Still Can't Kill Us was what was the nail in the coffin for me. So, you know, you don't know your own limits until you surpass them, and then you're, like, dying on the side of the road hating life. You don't know that until you go too far, and then you're like, oh, my limits are this. So that was me discovering that. So you Still Can't Kill Us, I had a couple of moments, I've shared about this before, that it was a much more difficult project than we thought. We thought it would be like a couple weeks, easy, but we decided to produce it ourselves, so it took months. And it was very it was so challenging, doing it in our home studio, 24/7, working on it, and yeah, just isolating, just ugh. So, and then I was like, this sucks. So I actually decided in year 2019, I made a conscious decision, maybe it was 2020, one of those years, I said, I'm not allowed to start anything new this year. So I was like, I can't start a new Rockstar Crash course or a new Make a Move course. I can't write a new book. I can't, like, all I'm going to do is tour and write songs. That is it. And it was so wonderful that I'm like, I'm onto something. So it's all about, for me, like keeping, there's a quote, it's like the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And for me, my main thing that I enjoy the most, that I'm best at, and that has the most impact in the world is music. All the other things should be like a hobby. They should be like if I feel like doing them and I've got the time. They shouldn't be like exhausting me where I'm like, oh God, I got to keep doing this and then have the main thing suffer.
All right. Last question before I wrap this up. All right. If other artists want to show up and help people in the pandemic, what advice would you have for them?
Can you expand on that a little bit? Like any kind of artist just helping the world, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wanted to, I don't know. Well, I'm a writer. So maybe I should personalize a little bit more and say, sometimes I do, say, poetry readings, for example. If I wanted to show up and help other people in the pandemic, what advice would you have for me?
I would say to keep showing up and to pivot, darling, because so many people are overwhelmed. You mentioned earlier the subject matter versus the format. Well, the format has changed now. You can't do your poetry readings. I can't do my touring. So we can either be mad and bitter and pissed and wait for it to open up again, or we can make it easy for that creative force to keep flowing and not block that dam by creating an outlet for it. So you are doing that today because you're showing up through Zoom, like exercising your badass interview skills, like you're doing it right now. And I would encourage you to, if you wanted to stand up, like you could organize a virtual poetry reading, or you could just do it on your Instagram. You could go live on YouTube like you are right now. Obviously, there's 13 different formats right now you can choose from to show up. But I think we overthink it and we make it harder than it has to be. And once like what worked for us last year stops working, we don't do it. But here's the thing, if you learn the skill of adaptability and learning how to pivot, no matter what happens in the future, even if Instagram dies or if Twitch dies or whatever, you'll be able to go on to the next thing, and you'll be able to tell your creative heart, I will always have your back. I will always make it possible for you to be seen and heard. And that's valuable.
All right, I think that is our time, folks. I was promised 30 minutes, and I will be gracious to my interviewee by not overrunning the time. I thank you for coming. It's been beyond a privilege getting a chance to talk to you, and I do hope to join you guys over on Patreon eventually. Yeah. I do have to work out the budget, but we will work out the budget.
Totally. Yes, no pressure. And thank you so much for having me today and for giving me a chance to do a more like informal chat with, a member of the Icon Army such as yourself. It's so cool and it's so different from what I would usually do. I've never been able to do this before. And thank you for supporting our Kickstarter campaign and being an early adopter, like you said. That's awesome.
Well, who knows? Maybe next Kickstarter campaign I will do it again. I don't know. If there is another Kickstarter campaign, I mean, there's always opportunities for the future, and I would encourage other members of the Icon Army to also give it a try. Right? It's not really that bad.
Oh, good.
It's not really.
I'm not that screwed. Good. I'm so glad. This was really a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. So I will end the stream here. Bye, everyone.